playoffs. Which one? Mark, start off with you.
Utah. A lot of talent, a lot of guys coming back. You really don't know which guy is really going, do a lot of damage. You just don't know. With Portland, you kind of know who you're looking for. But with Utah, it could be anyone in, like a number of guys. It could be Burks, could be Favors, Gobert, Hayward. You just don't know who's going to kill you that night. So I would say they're the more dangerous team.
So, if you're Golden State, I don't think you care.
If you're San Antonio,
if you're Golden State, this is it. If you're Golden State, obviously Portland would be the least. Houston, you know what, man? Houston has talent. They're in 7th, and they've just been abysmal all year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'd care to face them in the first round either.
You gotta pick one.
Portland has beat Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that would probably not be their first choice. Dallas, I'd love to face Dallas in the first round. They don't scare me at all. I think Mark's right. Utah, I think, is a worse matchup for San Antonio than Golden State, though.
Right. I agree.
So I just think it's more about matchups than what you're saying. There's not one team that I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to face them. I think it's more matchup based. I guess Houston of the 6, 7, 8 area would be the one team that I'd say, okay, I'd rather not face them because they have James Harden, Dwight Howard, a slew of role players that like to show up at big moments. Mm-hmm. So I'd say Houston's probably the more formidable in the Western Conference out of those couple seeds.
Well, for me, I think it is the Jazz. The one thing that does scare about the Jazz is the point guard play. Now, Shelvin Mack has played well, and they're also playing Raul Neto for some strange reason. But you still have Alec Burks, who's going to be playing well. They're coming back. Rodney Hood was outstanding last night without Gordon Hayward.
He's inconsistent though.
But the thing is, though, you don't need him to be every single night, especially with Gordon Hayward's back healthy.
Now, if you're Golden State, are you worried about Utah?
I think you're getting past the first round. But I think if the teams that are more dangerous, I think Utah is more dangerous.
You didn't answer. Okay.
No, I mean, if you're Golden State, you're worried more about round 2. I mean, you're more worried about round 2, but I'm thinking if you're picking any of the teams that if I'm Golden State, I don't want to play Utah more than Portland. I think Utah is a little bit more deeper, and you have the Gobert factor.
I think Houston, though. I can see what you're saying. I just think that Utah is a little too slow for Golden State, and I think that would be a problem.
But I think if Gobert's blocking everything in the post.
Here's the thing. I think Golden State will spread them out, and I think that'll take Gobert out.
Gobert's gone.
That's how they'll win.
Yeah, I think that Houston's a worse matchup for Golden State, or Portland's a worse. And Portland mainly just because Damian Lillard, for some reason, likes playing against Steph Curry. So
Dame Dollar.
Yeah, so I'd say Portland or Houston for me for the first seed. Now, if you're going to say San Antonio, Dan, I'm with you. Utah is probably the worst matchup for San Antonio.
Yeah, I guess because of the fact you have the bigs.
The post players and Gordon Hayward, I mean,
Gordon Hayward, but
Kawhi's
going to
shut him down. But you mentioned guys like Rodney Hood, Shelvin Mack.
Alec Burks.
These are Alec Burks. These are guys that can make a difference in that series.
Okay, I can agree with that. Guys, real quickly in the East, Charlotte or Indiana? Who is more dangerous?
Charlotte.
Yeah, I'd say Charlotte for sure. But this is something I wanted to point out, and I'm glad we're talking about it. Toronto better hope Chicago stays out of that 7th seed.
Yes. Yes.
They whatever they can do, if they need to lose to Indiana or whatever, they need to avoid Chicago. Chicago has smacked them this year.
Drake needs to be sitting courtside every single game.
Well, yeah, to get the 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But if I'm Toronto, I don't want Chicago, but
for some strange reason,
Cleveland, Cleveland, I wouldn't be too worried about Chicago. Charlotte that's a tough first round matchup, man. I think they'll beat Boston in the first round,
especially if Al Jefferson can give you something bigger than what he's been giving you right now.
Yeah,
I think he's a huge X factor.
What they're doing is smart. They're playing him 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, he's
been wildly effective in those 20 to 25 minutes actually. So I keep doing what you're doing. Atlanta doesn't scare me. They've been playing a little better as of late. 7-3 in their last 10, won a couple in a row. Atlanta versus Miami is a That's an interesting series.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing was the Hassan Whiteside factor is huge in that series because if Whiteside is dominating Al Horford, then it becomes a problem.
Right.
But the thing is, Miami's bad on dribble penetration.
And the whole thing about it is, watching Miami play and just watching opponents play against them, for some reason they cannot get Whiteside in foul trouble. He's not really getting in a lot of foul trouble lately. He's been getting, early in the season, that guy would have 5 fouls in the first half.
Yeah.
But now he's really understanding how to stay out the way and still be effective defensively. Teams are really going to have to clamp down on that, and they're going to have to find a way to try to get him in some foul trouble.
Yeah, credit to Spoelstra on that. I mean, he's done a great job with Whiteside.
Well, I think the smartest thing with him was that getting him not starting. And the reason being is that because Whiteside has so much energy to start the game, he starts not playing, gets off to a bad start. He's brought him in off the bench, but he's playing starters minutes.
Right.
That's the most important thing. He's getting the minutes, but I think him coming off the bench is a much better boost. Especially early games, get those early jitters out the way. And
Amari's been in that situation a million times. I mean, it's not throwing him out there for the first couple minutes isn't that's nothing new to Amari, so it's kind of perfect.
Speaking of Amari Stoudemire and understanding, the transition of the New York Knicks has become even more of a soap opera every single day. Ramona Shelburne wrote an article today on ESPN.com. Please check it out if you're a Knicks fan, especially because he kind of gives into an insight more of Phil Jackson and his mindset. He's much more hands-on now in New York. Now, Phil does have the out clause in the summertime, but it's also been reported that Phil might take over coaching responsibilities for home games while Kurt Rambis coaches the team on the road. Carmelo Anthony has come out and said that that's a no-go. That's just not a smart move. Guys, for once, Paul, me and Carmelo, we go back. Do you agree with Carmelo on this one, or do you think Phil should be doing the best he can?
Yeah, Melo's right. This is ridiculous. At what point, look, man, and Phil Jackson's top 3 coach of all time. I think that's almost undisputable.
Okay.
All right. My problem is, I mean, this sounds like an ego move. Like he wants to do something that no one's ever done. I'm going to coach for half the year, but I'm never leaving New York. I don't want to fly. I don't want to travel. I'm just going to be the man while I'm here. Like, who does that? Bro, you're a head coach. Be a head coach. Or be management. It's one or the other. You can't be both. So I hate this. And if it happens, I hope they lose every game at home.
Mark?
Yeah, bad move. Because it's kind of like you 2 different directions, 2 different styles of play.
Absolutely.
Going to be 2 different wrinkles, within both the coaches. It's just not good. And then say if the players respect Phil and don't respect Kurt, it's also a bad move. This is just bad, written all the way around. It shouldn't even be. He should actually have been joking about this. It shouldn't even be serious. He shouldn't even be considering it. That's how horrible a move this is. And I think he's just trying to make some waves, because he's not doing good in the executive part. But just because you're a great coach does not mean you're a great GM. But I don't know. It's loony, out in New York. That's all I can say.
It's interesting because, real quickly on this one before we head out, but I think if it's an ego move, have you seen Kurt Rambis, what he's done with Kristaps Porzingis in the last month? Porzingis has looked not so good. I mean, he's not playing 4 quarters. He's kind of like getting the Uncle Byron treatment, as Mark would call it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of hit a rookie wall, though, to be fair. And that was before Kurt even took it over. So I'm not going to blame that all on Kurt. I think that he's probably tired, man. He's probably a little banged up, and Kurt's trying to protect him. I'm not gonna bang on Rambis, because of that. But I get what you're saying. I don't think Kurt Rambis is the future coach in New York. I think they should be chasing Luke Walton or somebody, Kevin Ollie, or someone like that. Yeah, Tom Thibodeau.
I mean, I can see the ego behind it, but I think Phil is just trying to find a way to save this franchise. I mean, at this point,
by coaching half the games.
I mean, do you want Kurt Rambis coaching the full season? I mean, at this point, I mean, maybe it might be for this year. I mean, but the philosophy difference won't be the same. I think since both of them are coaching the triangle, I don't think it's much of a difference. But it is a big distraction. If Phil is on the bench for 41 games. And here's the question: what happens if Knicks go 31 and 10 at home, and they go 11-55 on the road, for example, and they become a 500 team.
Shame on Phil. He should have been at those away games.
Speaking of home court, guys, one quick question before we go. Golden State and San Antonio have combined to lose 0 games at home this season.
It's insane.
If they end up in a playoff series, which team cracks first at home? We're not going to say who wins the series. Which team loses a home game? Or is it chalk?
It's neither. I think you got a coin toss on that one.
Mark, since Paul won't answer the question, who loses at home first? Golden State or San Antonio? They played each other in a 7-game series.
I say Spurs.
I don't know.
I say Spurs. I like the Warriors' home crowd better. It seems like they're more into it, so I say Spurs.
I do like their home crowd better. I agree there. I just feel like the Spurs, they have some, and it's not that the Warriors don't. I think they do as well, but the Spurs have something there where they're like pride, like just a home court pride that they've had for years. I'll say Warriors would lose first on their home court, and I don't like it, but that would be the one I would go with.
I'm taking the Dubs to lose at home. I like the Spurs because I think Popovich has not shown everything he needs to show.
I agree with that.
And I think they're sandbagging it, just like every other thing. But we're going to check out of here. So pretty much next Tuesday night, we'll be right back here in the saddle. Myself, Mark Johnson, Paul Myers, Zach Oliver will be checking in with the Orlando Magic, as well as we want you guys to check in throughout the week. Go to www.nbafcpradio.com. Check out articles for myself and the rest of the team, Melanie, Eric, Ethan, who just released something. The guys, everybody is on the site right now. Greg's been posting stuff on the D-League. So we want to give everybody a shout-out on those. Like I said, check those articles out as well, too. Check us out on Twitter, at NBA FCP Radio. Mark, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, Breakdown Sport, Instagram, Breakdown Sport, Twitter.
Also, if you have ESPN access, please sign up for our tournament pool bracket. We have 2 separate ones. We have a Full Court Press one, so go to Full Court Press Radio and check us out there. And Mark, what's the other one at?
Man, I gotta talk to E about that, Eric about that. Because I know he sent me something and I haven't even responded.
Yeah, we're all a part of that. So like I said, we'll be tweeting out through social media as well too. So good shout out to everybody. Ethan calling in, Ryan in the booth. We'll be back next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. here on Sports Talk 1080 Team. This is Danny Thompson, Mark Johnson, and Paul Myers checking out with you. See you next week.
Yo.
Later.
WHOO Kissimmee. Lock us in. Sports Talk 1080. The Team. Orlando. Your fantasy sports station. Powered by SportsTalkFlorida.com.